welcome back. Another episode of Ballers, Beers, and Banter. I'm your host, Dave. Here with me, two stud rookie running backs, Anthony and Moose.
What's up, everyone?
Hello.
Anthony, you can't just change your hello.
It was
There's a tradition.
Got confused. I
was concerned.
My hello wasn't as good because I was confused.
Just Josh. Yeah. Just messing. How you guys doing today?
Fantastic.
Doing well, a little bit tired.
Doing well. Well, why are you tired, miss?
Lots of yard work, and would like to take this special moment to give a shout out to Big Boy Renos, Tyler and Tim for helping me finally get out the big tree stump in the backyard, which was mentioned, I think, 2 or 3 episodes ago. We had started on it, and it is officially dug out and covered back up.
Big Boy Renos?
Yeah.
Such a good name, by the way. Such a good name. Well, thanks, Tyler, for helping our boy out. I just want to know, Moose, were you wearing old white New Balance sneakers circa 1992?
I wasn't.
To do your yard work. Well, that's why it took you so long to get it done.
But why would I have shoes from 1992?
Just that's when you start doing yard work, when you own a home and you get into like dad yard work stuff.
So I would buy it.
I assume they just show up.
1992, I was supposed to buy a pair of shoes for.
No. I think they just show up magically, and there's like, here's you like find them in your attic. Like, here's an old pair of shoes. It's perfect for yard work. This is great.
First I'm hearing of this.
I'm popping up my beer. My beer, Moose. So do the honors.
No, I just have I have an old pair of running shoes. I don't know the name of them. I actually think they're Italian, Dave. They're Italian.
Italian running shoes.
It's an Italian company.
Like all leather.
No. And they're
very stylish.
They're actual running shoes, and I just I bought a new pair a while back. But actually, no, that's not true. The newer pair I destroyed in the renovations of the house, so I'm actually wearing the older pair, and the new pair are my.
Good. You should be wearing the oldest pair you have for yard work. Well, cheers to you getting rid of your stump and Big Boy Renos. I love it. Love it. Was it a nice day out there today for your yard work? Because it's beautiful out here on the West Coast.
Super sunny.
It was a very nice weekend.
Gorgeous.
Here.
Not that I took advantage of it because I watched sports all day today, but it's just nice to know that if I wanted to, it was really nice out. Normally I do go for a nice little walk, by the river here, but there's too many sports on. There's too many sports. And I know we're a fantasy football podcast, but it's hockey playoffs have started and basketball playoffs are getting going. There was a lot of action on today. Very exciting. So you could have I was watching basketball and hockey simultaneously all day up until the recording of this podcast. Coming to you live Sunday, not live, but Sunday, May 16th. I always say live. It is live.
One day.
Yeah, one day we'll go. We'll broadcast live. But a lot of sports going on. What was kind of cool and interrelated is to open up the Las Vegas Golden Knights playoff game. They got this big, one of those big sirens that you pump up and it wails, like you crank it. And I think they have those a lot of football stadiums too. They got Darren Waller, premier tight end of the Las Vegas Raiders, Darren Waller, to come crank that bad boy to start the playoffs for them. But turned out to be bad luck. They lost 1-0 in overtime. Way to go, Raiders. Classic. John Gruden must have told them to crank it the wrong way. And they were like, hand it off to Jacobs. Anyways, a lot of sports on today. I'm real pumped. I'm real excited for our show today. Should we get into headlines, gentlemen? Should we dive right in?
Let's do it.
Let's dive on it.
The first headline of the day that I'd like to get into pertains to what we talked about last episode on the podcast, where we went over our first 3 rookie running backs. The next 3 are coming up today. But we talked at length about Travis Etienne, and it was announced, the news coming out of Jacksonville, Jaguars rookie minicamp, is that Travis Etienne is going to take all of his snaps at wide receiver, which has kind of blown up the fantasy community. Everyone's talking about the implications of this and why and whatnot and trying to guess what Jacksonville's plans are. But based on the common logic now and based on what Urban Meyer has said and his history, because he coached Percy Harvin back in Florida and others. I think he had Curtis Samuel as well at Ohio State, if I'm not mistaken. And he used those guys as, a halfback. Kind of, someone that lines up in the backfield. They could get a toss. They could go out to catch a pass, but basically they're used a lot and they're used in various ways. So it seems like they're preparing Travis Etienne for that role. What do you guys think? Are you excited about this?
I think they already have a player that can do that on the team, which is surprising.
Laviska Shenault?
Laviska Shenault Jr. But Urban Frank Meyer, Roman numeral 3.
Yes. Sorry. Urban Meyer, Roman numeral 3.
I don't know. He's pulling out all. I don't know what he's gonna try and do here. He's getting crazy. He's saying that he's gonna be the third down back. Now he's just taking all the snaps at receiver. I mean, he's gonna try anything with all the players to win. So I mean, it's creative, but I don't think Etienne is a Percy Harvin type or even a Laviska Shenault type. But I mean, he's gonna attempt everything.
I think
he's better than might be a better weapon than Laviska Shenault. He's faster. Like, I think everyone assumed Laviska Shenault was going to play that role because Urban Meyer always has this type of role in all his teams, but Laviska is not as fast. He was I think he's more like 4.5 territory, and Travis Etienne's 4.41 unofficial 40-yard
unofficial
quick. Unofficial, but I mean, what does that mean? Like, they could mess it up.
Well, speed's not everything for like. I mean, speed's a big part of being a dynamic player that can play running back, wide receiver, kick returns, or whatever. But I mean, Etienne, when we were talking about him and his positives, I mean, yeah, he could do it, but he doesn't strike me as that player coming out of like, Pitts. Everybody's like, oh, he could play receiver because he's a big guy, but he's built like a big receiver, and he's more flexible and all this stuff. So I just don't get that from Travis Etienne, but we'll see. I mean, anything's possible.
Yeah, and I don't think he's not going to be used like on the, like, he might line up at wide receiver a couple times or in the slot.
Right.
I think he'll line up in the backfield, and then he'll either move in motion or after the snap move, and he'll get the ball thrown to him or handed off to him in that way. But the point is that he's going to get touches, and for half PPR and PPR, I think it becomes really significant, because even if he's getting like a shovel pass or a little small pass out of the backfield, it's huge points every time, right? Half for a point. Moose, we cut you off. What were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say that I think it speaks volumes to what the coaching staff has seen in terms of the rapport between Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne.
Yeah,
where they don't feel, maybe they're lining up at other places just because they know that the two of them can, just run everything out of the backfield, and they want to see what else he can do. So I think it's fantastic, because that means that they know he's an elite weapon. They know that the rapport between the two of them is just going to continue on from college, and it's going to be the two of them together are going to be absolutely dynamic.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that the idea in him training as a wide receiver is to get him comfortable with the route tree, as they call it, knowing all the different routes that he could encounter, and to really work on his skills as a pass catcher. I don't think it means he'll play wide receiver. I think he'll really start in the backfield mainly. And I think it could mean we'll see a lot of sets where James Robinson and Travis Etienne are in the backfield.
That's what I was going to say,
which is really cool. I don't think it's going to hurt. I don't think this news hurts James Robinson anymore. You know what I mean? I think it almost benefits him, because if they're both on the field, that's good.
I mean, they line Kamara out at wide receiver a bunch, or they used to.
Yep. And some people said like that's the absolute upside would be used in that role. It's a lot to compare someone to Alvin Kamara, because he is just amazing, but to be used in that way that the Saints have used Kamara, which is pretty cool for Travis Etienne. So for me, his stock's slowly going up. And he's speaking of where you can draft people, I mean, we started dipping into the mock draft pool, and listeners, get out there. It's never too early to start mock drafting and see what's going on your platforms. If you're new to fantasy football, mock drafting is a pretend preparation. It's like a practice draft for your fantasy draft. And you can find them on whatever platform you use. We use Sleeper for most of our leagues. There's always people on Sleeper getting ready to mock draft, and oh man, it's fun. And so far, Travis Etienne seems to be going round 4, around there, round 4.
Really, that high?
Yeah, because running backs are going like hotcakes. Anthony.
Yeah, for
like
sure.
Hotcakes.
Well, but that's the thing. That's the
Yeah.
general rule with fantasy, that you want to draft running backs early. Interesting.
Well, the people that are
James
on now,
Robinson, just out of curiosity, where is he going in the mock drafts?
after Travis Etienne.
Really?
So far, the ones I've seen, which is I think his ADP is lower. That's typical because everyone's so excited about it right now.
Right.
So James Robinson could end up being the steal of the draft because I think he's still an established RB2, right, at worst. So, and it was so much fun. I think we should just do a live mock draft pretty soon, get everybody hyped up. All right, anything else on T-Rav?
Nah.
Etienne? No? Okay. We talked enough about him last week, and there'll be many more discussions, I'm sure, between now and the start of the season. All right, next headline. Anthony, you want to hit us with the next one? Your pick. Dealer's choice.
Oh, okay. Kelvin Benjamin is being signed by the Giants.
No. He is signed.
Sorry, is signed by the Giants as a tight end. With this Tebow news, I think now it's just trickling down to other players. Like They're like, I'm a Giant dude. I can't make it to the NFL as a receiver. I want to play tight end for a team. And of course, the Giants, they're like the San Francisco 49ers for receiving options, just keep signing receivers. Rudolph, Ingram, Kelvin Benjamin, and then all the receivers we named.
Kenny Golladay, John Ross, drafted
Dante Pettis.
They drafted Kadarius Toney. Yes, can't forget Dante Pettis.
Sterling Shepard, Slayton. I mean, this is just ridiculous. I think like Tebow, he's not going to actually make the team. I think they're trying to light a fire under Ingram's butt, because everybody, even for fantasy purposes, everybody always expects the super talented receiver like tight end Ingram to be better than what he's been, but he's always injured. And then he just can't seem to get in the rhythm of being consistent enough and a reliable option for the Giants.
Okay, so Anthony, can you pull up Evan Ingram's numbers for us here, even just on Sleeper? Because to me, the significance here of the Kelvin Benjamin sign, if you look at it, take a step back and see early in free agency, the Giants signed Kyle Rudolph, as you mentioned, who's a veteran tight end, can catch passes, he's good in the red zone, can also block, and now are going to be using Kelvin Benjamin as a tight end. Kelvin Benjamin, who did play, I think he opted out last year. He's been out of the league for 2 years, but he was officially on the Giants roster last year. I can't remember if he's injured or not. He's bounced around. He was pretty good in Carolina. I'm reading here that in 2014 he was third in PPR as a receiver, and in 2016 fourth. Can that be correct with Cam Newton? I think he was Cam Newton's main squeeze in Carolina. So he's a decent pass catcher. He's 6'5", 245 listed on Sleeper. So that means he's probably a bit heavier now. So all this to me points to the Giants not having faith in Evan Ingram. Anthony, do you have numbers drummed up for Evan Ingram?
What
specifically
year?
How many games has he played in the past few years? Since we'll go to his rookie campaign. His rookie campaign was his best season by far. His first one.
Yes.
Was,
so
very good.
2017. He played 15 games. Okay. He had 115 targets, 64 receptions, 722 yards, and 6 touchdowns.
How many yards? How many yards and receptions?
722 yards.
Pretty good.
6 TDs, but then it was
6 tutties, as Gronk would say.
6 tutties. So
it's
then
pretty good. It's pretty good for rookie tight end, right?
Right, which is why everybody expected him to just grow from there and continue it. Next year, 2018, 11 games, 577 yards, 3 touchdowns. Not that good. The year after, 2019, 8 games.
Bingo. Missed half the season.
467 yards, 3 touchdowns. And then last year, he played all 16 games, 654 yards, 1 touchdown.
And over his 4-year career with the Giants, he has 25 drops. 25 drops. It's like when you watch Evan Ingram, it seems like he drops every other pass that gets thrown his way. He's super talented, but the injuries and the drops clearly have not only bothered fantasy players who have owned him in the past, this guy included, but it's clearly a concern for the Giants. And I think, go ahead.
Yeah, and like the reason why people get deceived in fantasy by him is because he falls so late, and people are like, Evan Ingram, the super talented Evan Ingram,
Yeah.
I'm gonna nab him here, and he'll be my surprise tight end starter for the whole season. And then you just get burned, and then you're picking up tight ends the whole season off waivers, and it's just that's not something you want to do.
Oh, the tight end waiver,
Which is like you follow Moose's rule: try and get the best tight end right from the start. You own that position if you do.
Yeah, Moose has never had to waiver wire tight ends. He's the tight end whisperer. He's the waiver wire whisperer and the tight end whisperer. That's how he wins his championship.
And I mean,
in our keeper league, that's it. I put in a solid effort to make sure that I had the
Take
best
them
tight
all.
end.
you had two?
Well, that's it. I had to
Yeah.
draft 2 to make sure that I'd have Kittle the next season.
Yeah.
I did have
And
Gronk. I did have Gronk way back when, but
Yeah. But and one thing you want from tight ends too are definitely touchdowns, and one touchdown's just not going to cut it. So they're trying to Rudolph is not going to be that guy, and I don't think Kelvin Benjamin will be that guy. I don't think even Kelvin Benjamin will make the team, like the 32 man roster. I don't think he will.
So when Kelvin Benjamin was playing wide receiver in his last season, and he looked, and the best comment was Booger McFarlane, I think it's the announcer's name, right?
Yeah.
He said he's a Popeye. He's like Kelvin Benjamin out here. He's a Popeye's chicken away from being a tight end. And then that's been passed around the internet like crazy right now. Like, oh my God, he predicted it. So he didn't look great as a wide receiver because he just didn't have the speed to break away from anyone. But as a tight end, if he has linebackers covering him, it could be decent. Like, I'm not saying he's going to be draft worthy in any league, but he could be good enough to just completely ruin Evan Ingram as a tight end option. Him and Rudolph combined. Rudolph, you're right. Rudolph's going to get, like, in Minnesota anyways, Rudolph was getting like 2 or 3 catches a game, but sometimes he'd get looks in the red zone as well.
I think you can count Rudolph for 500 yards, 5 touchdowns, like something very basic like that.
That's fair. That's actually decent.
Yeah.
For tight ends. But I think it really hurts Evan Ingram. So to me, Evan Ingram's stock, very low.
But
Very
I mean,
low
if
for me.
you look at Kelvin Benjamin's numbers, like you spoke a little bit before, in 2018, the last time he played, yes, it was receiver. But I mean, these numbers, I know they're fantasy numbers, but he didn't have one fantasy week over 10 points in half-point PPR. So he couldn't cut it as a receiver. I don't know if he'll be in shape enough to be a viable option at tight end or even make the team. Like, I mean, Rudolph is probably going to be the blocking tight end. Ingram, like, he does have skill. I don't know what's going on. The yardage is not bad. His first year was 722. He had 650 something last year. It's just the touchdowns. And I mean, the drops are a problem, but they got an endless amount of receivers that I don't think they need Kelvin Benjamin. I think they're doing it just to try out everyone. And if somebody's a surprise, they'll sign him. Like, if Dante Pettis shows up 2 of the other receivers, they'll keep Dante Pettis.
Well, we'll see what happens. But it's interesting. Moose, anything else?
I think maybe they just signed him because you guys did talk a lot about Kyle Rudolph. He is having foot surgery. So it's always possible that Kyle Rudolph, will not be Kyle Rudolph post-surgery.
Oh, no. He won't be flying the giant sleigh tonight? Huh? Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Rudolph.
Yeah, Rudolph. Okay. God, wow. Woo, right over your head. Okay. All right, enough tight end talk.
Poorly timed Christmas joke.
Yeah. It's always Christmas when we're talking fantasy football, guys. In other news, Green Bay has signed another quarterback. And if you thought Blake Bortles was a shaky backup, how about Kurt Benkert? That is his name. Kurt Benkert apparently was on the Atlanta Falcons. I've never seen this guy play, but and he's not super young. He's been around. He's like a journeyman. And so he signed with the Green Bay Packers. If I'm a Packers fan, I'm getting slightly concerned. Like, I think, we talked about it at length last episode. Go listen to our Rodgers talk. We don't need to get super into it again. I think it's clear that Green Bay would like Rodgers to come back. But I think they're just preparing for what if he sits out or refuses to play. Like, why else would they be bringing all these guys in, these QBs? So I'd be concerned if I was a Packers fan or an Aaron Rodgers owner in Dynasty.
I don't know. I'd be concerned if they brought in somebody of relevance. I think.
But there's no one of relevance available. That's like, who could they?
That's the problem.
They could trade for someone maybe, but there's no free agents that they can. Like, I think Blake Bortles is the best option.
Yeah, but that's it. So, like, I don't think that these signings are anything. Like, if they were going to move on from him, they wouldn't sign some no-name person. They'd come out and say Jordan Love's the starter, kind of thing.
Yeah, well, they don't want to move on from him. They definitely don't. These are reserves. These are plan D and E and F.
I mean, I forget which
fail.
one of you said it last episode, but I think they're just signing these, or I would agree with the person that said it. I think they're signing the guys in case Rodgers doesn't show up to training camp and they need somebody for rep. I think it was you, Moose. Yeah.
That's fair.
So I think you're right.
All right.
No cause for alarm.
No cause for alarm. All right.
Although I do hope he retires. And the
as
trolls
a Bears fan, not as a fantasy fan. I mean, that would be horrible.
Well, I would never draft Rodgers. I just can't do it.
Or Devontae Adams.
No, I'll draft the receivers.
Robert Tonyan.
I'll draft those guys. I just won't touch Rodgers. But all the trolls on Twitter, I forget this one Twitter page where it has the Sports Center logo, but it's called whatever his name is. Center is when you look closely, and it broke that Aaron Rodgers retired, and I literally jumped up, looked at my phone, and then I went to the page. I was like, these trolls.
The fake Instagram and Twitter accounts are abundant. Yeah, abundant. You gotta vet that. We've all been guilty of falling for one, especially if it's a headline you're hoping for. Like, as a Chicago Bears fan, you're like, Rodgers retires. You're like, yes!
The amount of times I was fooled by the Russell Wilson signing to the Bears.
Yeah, poor you.
Yeah, it wasn't fun.
I remember receiving a text, I think, and they were like, no, Anthony, no. All right, last piece of news, guys. That one, Moose brought this to our attention. The Bucs have signed Tremaine Pope. Moose, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And he was on the Chargers last year, correct?
He was.
Yeah. I remember when they were dealing with injuries and I had the Josh Kelly bet and they just kept bringing in other running backs to play instead of Josh Kelly. And I'm trying to get Josh Kelly to 162 rush attempts, but
he looked good.
So who? Tremaine Pope?
Tremaine Pope. He, I mean, nothing incredible, but for the short time that he played, he looked all right.
Yeah. So now the depth chart in Tampa Bay is Ronald Jones, Roman numeral 2, Leonard Fournette, Giovanni Bernard, Keyshawn Vaughn, third-round draft pick from last year, and now Tremaine Pope. So it's getting crowded. You need running backs, you need bodies, but let me just focus in on the top 2 that are going. And speaking of those mock drafts that we were doing, Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette were both going extremely late, like after backup running backs on other teams, and one of them's going to get the bulk of the work, we think, right, or a share. So where would you draft either of these guys in your fantasy draft? Where would you feel comfortable? Ronald Jones, and who do you rank higher? Ronald Jones or Lenny? Playoff Lenny.
They're both the same.
Yeah,
but in the sense that you're not sure who's going to get.
Yeah,
who's going to get the work.
Who knows what Bruce Arians will do, and they're
just going to roll with the guy that's playing well that game. And like we've seen in the previous season, when one fumbles, then the other guy gets the shot for a couple of games until he starts sucking, and then they bring in the next guy.
It's the worst kind of committee because it's not like the committee shares. It's just one's in until he's out.
Yeah, and they'll announce one as starting and getting all the reps. You're like, great, and then boom, they're pulled.
And if Arians is anything like Belichick, he'll tell us the wrong one before the game, and then you'll be like, Fournette's starting, and in the game Ronald Jones has all the touches, and you're just like, I started the wrong player.
And you're right. Do not fumble on a Bruce Arians team. You won't see the field. Like it's a no. Okay. What's late Moose though? So let's say, would you be comfortable with one of them as your 4th running back on your team, like round 10 of a draft?
Yeah, I would say round 10 or later.
Okay. 10 or
this
later.
is like if you forgot, or like if you forgot to take your second running back, or if you went super receiver heavy and you're like, I need to I need to nab somebody now. But I mean, you're going to be
I
scrounging on the waiver wire the whole season, like Ronald Jones, Fournette, Keyshawn Vaughn.
I wouldn't want them to be my RB1 or RB2.
Exactly.
And
For
barely flex.
Barely flex.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they could be a depth piece on your team.
Yeah.
Because flex options are going round 6.
Well,
And
right
that's not to say that they're not talented. I just for fantasy, I think it's just too much of a risk week to week to know who. It's the same it's the same for all of Tampa Bay. Every position in Tampa Bay is going to be who is it this week, and it's going to be a constant struggle.
Ronald Jones, Roman numeral 2, finished 16th last year with 978 yards and 7 TDs.
16th. That's wild.
Yeah,
right?
That's pretty high.
For someone that
but he did get all the touches at the beginning, and people were excited about Fournette getting re-signed, but it was just later on in the season where Ronald Jones burned you or Bruce Arians burned you by not playing Ronald Jones.
Yeah, let's blame Bruce.
Rojo.
All right. Well, that's enough of that. Plenty of running back talk on today's episode because our main focus is, again, these rookie reviews that we're doing. Last episode, we reviewed top 3 running backs that were drafted in the first round / second round. That was Najee Harris, Travis Etienne, and Javonte Williams. Go listen to the last episode if you haven't already. Those are big names to know. They're going very, very early in mock drafts right now.
How
Today
big,
we are what's bigger than the world, Jimmy. Is that what you want to be? That's what you want to do. Today we're going to be going over Trey Sermon, Michael Carter, and Kenneth Gainwell. And we're going to start in the same order they were drafted. So we're starting with Trey Sermon. Anthony, why don't you hit us with a little bit of background on Trey?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm getting another surprise rookie here of where I didn't expect him to go. He went to the San Francisco 49ers at the round 3, 88th pick. He's 6 foot, 215 pounds.
6 feet?
6 feet.
6
I'm
feet.
just like, I don't know.
I'm trying
I'm
to
just
say 6 foot and 6 feet at the same time. He's 6 feet?
He had a 40-yard dash time of 4.58 and a vertical of 34.7.
But did he use, when he ran his 40, did he use both fit?
Both fit.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm just hung up on that. That was fantastic. All right. So he's 6 feet tall, 215. Continue. 4.5. All right.
4.58, 40-yard dash time, and 34.7 vertical. He played his college oh my God, I'm just fumbling all over my words today. But he played college ball at Oklahoma and Ohio State. He played his last season, his senior year at Ohio State. He transferred over. And in his Big Ten championship game, 331 yards, most in a single game by an Ohio State player, and highest ever in a football bowl subdivision championship game. So, I mean, the guy can ball. He got also the MVP of that game. So, you know, that's a lot of yards for a game.
He's a gamer. He's a gamer,
and in a big game too. So, I mean,
against a good defense against Clemson, right?
No, that wasn't against Clemson. That was against Northwestern. But in the Clemson game, in the
Sugar
Sugar Bowl,
he
rushed for 193 yards and had 1 rushing touchdown. Caught 4 passes for 61 yards.
Okay, so just a casual 193 on the ground.
Yeah,
Clemson. Yeah, no big deal.
And in his national championship game against Alabama this past year, he got injured right away. So on the first play of the game, so that sucked. So it seems like he already suffers from some injury issues. But let's talk about his situation. Why I'm surprised. Again, we were talking about teams like the Buccaneers, like the Giants, overcrowding some of their offensive positions. I mean, does San Francisco need any more running backs? They got,
but I don't think this is overcrowding.
Mostert. Nobody hopes for injuries, and nobody expects injuries in the next year, even though their team is plagued with them.
Mostert is also old,
right?
Older.
But,
so hold on. Let's take a look at who's in the running back room in San Francisco. Raheem Mostert is the incumbent. Jeff Wilson Jr.
Hasty.
Jermichael Hasty.
Wayne Gallman, who they just signed.
Wayne Gallman. And now Trey Sermon, and we won't talk about him a lot, but Elijah Mitchell.
Now, just to talk about the situation, what are your guys' opinion on a couple of those guys? Like, I know they were all like Hasty and Jeff Wilson Jr. came in relief for an injured player, but were they not serviceable for fantasy for the time that they played?
They're great.
They were great.
Here's the thing. Whoever is playing running back for the San Francisco 49ers has the opportunity to be fantasy gold. Okay. The issue has been that they love to use multiple backs within a game and over the course of a season. And there's been tons of injuries for one reason or another, whether it's the players or their style of the style of running that San Francisco has, whatever. It's running back. People get injured. So then for me, the fact that they went to round 3 to get Trey Sermon, which wasn't like they're a pretty well balanced team. So maybe it is a need for them. To me, he's the running back of the future for the San Francisco 49ers. So in terms of this year, what's going to happen in San Francisco's backfield? I feel like if Mostert stays healthy, he's the lead guy. But as a Raheem Mostert dynasty owner, Trey Sermon's drafting concerns me.
But we were just talking about Tampa Bay on like their crowded backfield. How it works for them is whoever is the starting running back for that game is the running back. There's no split time. I mean, you'll see a guy get in for a couple carries or whatever. Here, everybody's going to get a chance. I mean, you still have the depth chart. It's not like it. I'm not saying all 5 of them are going to get something right now.
6.
As the depth 6, right now is the depth chart. The way the depth chart is listed is Mostert, Jeff Wilson Jr., Sermon, Gallman, and Hasty was left off
on ESPN.
On ESPN, I believe it was.
Okay. Yeah.
So I mean, nobody's practiced yet. It seems fair that would be the depth chart. Sermon, obviously, when you draft a rookie, you hope that he becomes your running back of the future, especially 3rd round. It's not too late in the draft, but I mean, you'll hear my gut instinct and what I feel about his opportunity a little later on as we talk about the other key points to his career out in San Francisco this year, where his division and schedule might be a little tough for him to, start his career off.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, Moose, let's hear from Moose. What do you think the situation is in the San Francisco backfield?
Yeah, I think, it's Raheem Mostert if he's healthy, but we know he can't hold it together. He's getting old.
He's too fast. Old. He's one of those guys who's too fast for his
banged around. It's too fast. Jeff Wilson is highly touchdown dependent, and he's shown that. So I don't think he's a worry at all. And then, here comes Trey Sermon, who for sure can outplay Wayne Gallman, for sure can outplay Jermichael Hasty, and will probably outplay Raheem Mostert by the end of the season. So I would think that he's a very solid bet.
I think Moose hit the nail on the head with if Raheem's healthy, he's the main guy. Jeff Wilson's a concern because Jeff Wilson can catch passes and they love to use him in the red zone. You talk about how he's touchdown dependent. He is touchdown dependent. But that also means he vultures touchdowns from other running backs.
Right. And in a rookie career, you would want to see like where you want to make your fantasy points are the touchdowns. The touchdowns gives you those 6 points instantly. So if they're splitting time with 2 or 3 of them, I mean, he's not going to get that many yards, at least for his first year. And even towards the end, like we talk about guys like Cam Akers that started showing up at the end of the season. I just think we don't hope for injuries. And I know they're injury prone, this team, but if everybody stays healthy, I just don't think that that Sermon will get enough of an opportunity his first year. I do think he'll be the guy. But I think of all the other running backs, I would say that he falls a little lower because of all the competition he has. We all know that these guys are we know who Jeff Wilson is. We know who Jermichael Hasty is because they've been there in relief, and otherwise we wouldn't know who they are. But I mean, they signed Gallman. Gallman was able to replace Saquon Barkley. He's definitely not more talented than Sermon, but all these guys are here for a reason. I think they're all going to get their shot in certain situations per game. I think it'll depend on who they're playing. So this year, like I mentioned, I'll skip over to the division and schedule. They are playing the weak AFC South. who we spoke about last week for Travis Etienne. But his division is tough. He plays Seattle twice. He plays the Arizona Cardinals twice, and the
Rams.
And the Rams. So I think they're going to need to get creative, and they can't just rely on one guy. So I think his opportunity this year is not good. For Dynasty, he's a guy you want to pick up because I think he'll benefit you down the line. But this year, I think it's a big gamble.
I don't think it's a big gamble.
Yeah,
of all the running backs, like I would rather the ones you're about to talk about.
Okay, but here's the other thing to keep in mind, that Trey Sermon, the three guys we're talking about today, you can get in redraft leagues way later. Trey Sermon is consistently being drafted in mock drafts right now. Kenneth Gainwell and Michael Carter will get into. You can get them in the last round. But even Trey Sermon, you can get very late. So for the draft capital you're investing as a fantasy player, I think it's well worth it, because all it's going to take is maybe one injury to a main guy, like Raheem Mostert goes down.
Let's not forget my wild prediction.
Yeah, the JaMychal Hasty. There was a game where JaMychal Hasty was the starting running back last year.
But now San Francisco played with
three running backs had to be non-playable for JaMychal Hasty to come in.
But what did I say about his college career? He's already experienced injuries, and he had a serious injury from high school. So he's injury prone. So they just signed another running back.
Name a running back that doesn't have an injury.
Right, but I'm saying.
So, yeah, it's certainly concerned. But if there's a scenario where, let's say, Raheem Mostert's sitting out a few games, Gallman's out, and it's him and Jeff Wilson, let's say, Sermon's going to dominate. And that San Francisco O-line and their running scheme, the holes on, if you can run fast, you are going to have, how many times do we see a running back break like an 80-yard play for San Francisco? The O-line's fantastic, running off the left inside Trent Williams. Come on. So it's worth the investment, I think, because of where you'll be able to draft him is pretty low.
But like I said, I think you're correct where you're going to be able to draft him. It's low. But the other two guys you will talk about, I think, have more of a chance to be more effective for your fantasy team than he will, because of all the people he's got to surpass.
I see him being the exact same as Cam Akers last season. All these other running backs ahead of him, and everybody's doubting it. But you put him on your bench, you wait, and it'll pay off at the end of the season.
That's a very good comparison. I would say very good comparison. Similar situations, really good team, lots of capable running backs to compete with.
We said that about two of the guys last episode. So I mean, if we're saying that about one person, I know, but we're saying that about Etienne and Javonta. So basically, I'm evaluating him with the other rookie talent. I'm saying he's falling to the bottom because we're saying those about the other guys. It's like, how many rookies are you going to put at the bottom? So if you have all the rookies in a pool, we know Etienne's going to go earlier than expected, but these other two guys that you guys are going to talk about, and you'll see how my opinion is towards them. I think I would rather have the other guys over him because of the opportunity.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, he'll get his shot because he will be the running back of the future, but it's not going to be enough that I'll want him on. I would waste my late round pick on him and to keep him on my team. But anyways,
I'll take him. You leave him, I'll take him, and then
perfect. And I'll take
my name will be on.
You're
my name will be on the trophy for a fourth time.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know how much further back he's going to be.
Yeah. And I'll take the guy that you're going to talk about, and then I'll have my second title on the trophy. My second victory plaque on the trophy. Yeah. So
Anthony,
they have.
You think you wouldn't draft Trey Sermon, and your gut instinct is don't draft him and redraft?
It's not.
That's what it sounds like.
Reading what you have written here.
Yeah, but if the other rookies are available, I would rather have one of the other rookies over him. I mean, I don't. You heard me last year.
That wasn't the question.
So no, I will not.
Okay.
He is not a rookie that I'm eyeing at all compared to the other. What we're doing 6, I'm not going to touch him. So no, I will not be looking for him.
You wouldn't even
draft.
take him in the last round of the draft.
I would take one of the other guys over him in the last round of the draft.
No. They're already gone.
Won't draft him.
They're already gone. Okay, those guys are gone.
I'll take a gamble.
Those guys.
Okay. Guys, perfect example. The mock draft I just did a few hours ago with some very fun gentlemen. I was able to draft Javonte Williams in round 7, win, and I was able to draft Trey Sermon in round 10. So would you rather have Javonte in round 7 or Trey in round 10?
Javonte in round 7.
Why not both?
Yeah, or both, like I did.
I'm okay for gambling on rookies. I just don't want too many rookies on my redraft team because it's an uncertain thing. And you had Cam Akers. Like we talked about this. You had Cam Akers. He sat on your bench till you needed him at the end of the season. Unless your team is actually going to the playoffs or like making a run for the playoffs. I mean, these guys aren't going to be useful to you.
I always plan on being in the playoffs. I don't know how you draft and manage your team, but I'm always going to the playoffs.
Yeah, but you didn't know Cam Akers was going to be good. So we're not talking about you winning your championships.
That's the whole business of draft.
That's the whole point, Anthony, is you have to have the foresight.
But we're not talking about your team. We're trying to give advice to the players. So if I'm giving advice to them, if somebody's interested in drafting a rookie in a later round, I'm going to say avoid Sermon, go for these guys. Can you take a flyer on him? 100%. I'm telling you, my strategy is don't have too many rookies on your team. Yeah, okay, you had Javonte Williams and Trey Sermon on your team. If you have Javonte Williams, I'd rather pick a guy like Jeff Wilson because I know he's second in the depth chart right now.
Oh.
And he will get you said of all of them, he's the one that's going to affect him the most because of the touchdown dependency. Vulture touchdowns and receiving yards, which is we're talking about half point PPR and touchdowns get you more points. So
yeah, I don't want Jeff Wilson. Jeff Wilson he'll be picked up in waiver wires, but I'm not going to draft him. But look, Anthony, the point about rookies is correct for all positions except running back. Running back is the one position where rookies have an immediate impact because of injuries. Yeah. And because it's the one that they come into the NFL most ready. You just have to get the ball, find the hole. So like if you think about last year, rookie running backs that had impact: Jonathan Taylor, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Cam Akers, J.K. Dobbins, Antonio Gibson, James Robinson. The list goes on, right? So you know, to say Trey Sermon's not gonna,
but to give
you want to have it all in redraft.
No, but to give you an idea. This was a situation in our league. I was in another league where somebody was impatient with Cam Akers. I picked him up late season. I'm not saying there's no value for him at some point in the season. I'm not drafting him at my draft. I will go for a different rookie. And I think he'll be worth a pickup because we said like the San Francisco guys, each of them had value at different points in the season. He'll have value, but I don't think he'll start the year off benefiting your team. So I'd rather pick him up off waivers when somebody gets bored of him not doing anything.
All right. Well, let's move on to the next.
Yeah, just to clarify my point though is the 3 rookies we talked about in last episode, they're going to go much earlier.
Way early.
Well, way Javonte Adams, 7th round.
Yeah. So you seem
Javonte
hung up
Williams,
on the idea.
I was able to get him in the 7th.
See, hung up on the idea that they're going to be late, but that's the thing. If he's around in the final round of the draft, I'm picking him up 100%.
Yeah, and
it's too much opportunity. I would even take him earlier. It's just so much opportunity.
Yeah, compared to like Najee Harris is going in like round 2 or 3. Travis Etienne is round 2, 3, 4. So it's in terms of investment.
So
why not?
Besides your playoff run, how much value did Cam Akers benefit you in season? 0.
Yeah, but it didn't matter. I had him. I didn't have to worry about getting him at the end of the season or bidding for him on the waiver wire, or if you have rolling waivers, making sure I'm at the top for that week. I had him. I kept him, and when I needed him, he helped me win.
Right. And in terms of draft strategy, like I'm just thinking back to like when you think back and go back and look at past drafts, and for fantasy players, it's a great exercise to go back and look at your past drafts. And if you look at people that are drafted round 10 and onwards, they don't usually stay on your team the whole year. So, if Cam Akers did stay on his team the whole year and then did have an impact, that's pretty useful.
But that's the point. Not everybody's team is the same.
Anthony, you picked Antonio. You were big on Antonio Gibson. You picked him up in quite a few teams last year.
Yeah,
rookie running back. That was a great pick.
I mean, had Cam Akers,
but he was more effective earlier on than Cam Akers was.
Had Cam Akers not had a football wedged between 2 of his ribs, I think he might
yeah.
have been maybe a little more impactful
But look,
a little bit earlier
this
on.
is all that I'm saying. You can value rookies how you want. I picked up Gibson because I looked at the opportunity on his team. He had no competition.
Right.
I think it's crowded. That's why I wasn't high on Cam Akers. I traded my dynasty pick because I knew Cam Akers was going to fall to me.
You honestly think Jeff Wilson's competition?
No. But I'm saying when you're starting your season, not everyone will have a team like you had, Moose. You had a great team that you drafted. We were all concerned about your Cam Akers pick because I knew he wasn't going to be effective right away. I want to start my fantasy season off with a bang, and obviously you want to have a supporting cast to carry you to the playoffs. But he wasn't helpful for you, so somebody else that drafts him early that didn't have a team like you might not go to the playoffs. So I'm saying if you want a rookie, the chances of you, if Trey Sermon is available at the 10th round or 11th round with Michael Carter and Kenneth Gainwell, I'm taking a chance on one of them over him, which is why I'm saying for my gut instinct, I'm not drafting him.
Okay, well, let's find out why. Let's talk about Michael Carter now. Moose, if you want to introduce us to young Michael Carter, one of two Michael Carters on the Jets.
Yeah, Michael Carter, no Roman numerals.
None.
The other Michael Carter does have Roman numerals. It's number 2.
Yeah, man.
He's a Michael Carter, no Roman numerals, went to University of North Carolina, and he finished the 2020 season with a 1,245 rushing yards and 9 tutties, along with
9 tutties on the ground,
267 receiving yards and 2 more tutties. And his 1,245 rushing yards were the 8th most in a single season by anyone at the University of North Carolina. And something also, because Dave and I were talking about this before, something else to note is that Javonte Williams, who we spoke about last season, shared the backfield with him.
50-50 split.
50-50 split, and they were both absolutely incredible.
They're both very effective.
So this is actually a really interesting one to do second, because there are also several subpar running backs on the New York Jets who, in Anthony's eyes, might be competition.
No.
So there's
how do I talk up Michael Carter?
Just joshing, yeah.
Here's one that might give him the hardest time. Tevin Coleman. Maybe Ty Johnson, LaMichael Perrine, but
LaMichael
Perine.
Yeah.
Anyways, none of these guys. I mean, Tevin Coleman wasn't there, but none of these guys could usurp the ageless wonder Frank Gore.
So where's Frank Gore this year? Is he unsigned?
He's just running. He just never stopped running. He's like Forrest Gump. He's just running until somebody signs him, and then he's just going to run onto the field. And
no one signed Frank Gore yet? Oh, man. Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta Falcons are going to sign Frank Gore.
Someone has to sign him. It's not fair to Frank Gore. He just needs to be.
It's not fair to Frank Gore. The guy's 80.
It's not fair to us. It's not fair to us.
He needs to be on a
players.
team, and he needs to be running.
Yeah.
But that to be said, maybe Ty Johnson, maybe LaMichael Perine could be competition, but they've been sort of lackluster in the past. And Tevin Coleman is far from being competition, in my opinion. He's had his chance everywhere. He was a shining star with the Falcons, and then sort of fizzled away with the Niners. And I don't think he'll have much impact.
He had flashes of brilliance at San Francisco, but again, the injury
he fizzled.
Bug. He fizzled a bit, but there's
fizzled.
Games where he looked really good.
He fizzled. He started dropping passes. He fizzled.
Moose's standards are high.
This is my point. You guys, now that you guys can see us, you see my arms up in the air. Like, I mean, the backfield in San Francisco have all been, and I asked you guys to confirm, they've all been serviceable guys when there's been injuries and relevant to pick up for your fantasy teams to help you win a week, but not keep necessarily for the whole season. LaMichael Perine, rookie last year.
Anthony, just so you know, like, I'm kidding. They're not competition.
Yeah, I know. But LaMichael, this is why I would say Michael Carter, because he is being looked at like he's being drafted after, in the mock draft that I did, he's being drafted after a guy like Sermon. LaMichael Perine, a rookie last year.
I'd take him. I'd take him in the last round if he was available to me.
Yeah. So I mean, this is what I'm talking about. Like the reason why I wouldn't draft Sermon is because if a guy like Michael Carter is available in the same round,
but
I'm taking him.
When I ask you that question, Anthony, it's because he's the only one left. It's just saying, like, it comes to you, the only option is to take him. Would you take him? It's not the whole universe is available to you. What would you do? It's just he's there. Would you take him? Would you not take him?
Yeah, but he's not the only player in that round. So it's like, who would you take him over? When you do a would you rather, I wouldn't pick him.
But he's the only option. He's the best option, or it's other people. All the other better options have been taken. Would you take him?
Better options in your opinion? I might think the people that you think are below
Anthony,
him.
No, it's based on your opinion. This is your scenario. So it's all the people that are better than him are gone. Would you pass over him or take somebody else in the later round?
If he's the only best one left, then I have to take him. But I think there will be way more people better than him.
Yeah, but it could be based on situation, based on something else. You know, like if he's the best running back option, but you think he has too much competition, would you pass over him for that reason in a later round and take somebody else?
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. So Anthony likes Michael Carter over Trey Sermon in the same spot in the draft.
Yes.
Moose, what about you?
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Okay. In redraft, specifically because he has a clear path to being the starting running back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Big time.
We're not confident in P. Ryan, Ty Johnson, and Tevin Coleman. So now, does it concern you at all that the Jets are perennially horrible at football, and specifically fantasy? Like if you look at their running backs from last year, no one was really lighting it up. You know, whether it was Lev Bell, it's at one where Lev Bell was playing there, when Frank Gore was there.
But here's what's good.
What's good?
Because I put this in the notes. They only play 3 top 10 defenses.
3 top 10 rush defenses or total defenses?
Rush defenses.
Oh, okay. That's good news. And is there concern? So to me, the attraction with Trey Sermon is his team. He's playing on San Francisco, which we're very confident in San Francisco's capabilities on offense and specifically running the ball. So if he does get the opportunity, he's gold. On the Jets, are we concerned with new coaching staff, rookie quarterback, and the unknowns of what their offense is going to be?
I mean, I think so, but for a late round pick, I'd take the dart throw.
Okay.
Because just opportunities.
This is my opinion too. Robert Salah, he came from where? San Francisco.
I have that in the notes. Did you read that off my notes?
Yeah, did you read notes?
I didn't read anyone else's notes, but I mean, coaching situation.
It literally says Robert Salah coming from San Francisco.
Yeah, but I'm elaborating to the point where he's under Kyle Shanahan on a team that we just talked about that loves running the ball. So he learning under Kyle Shanahan is probably going to go run heavy. Zach Wilson, his first year, is not going to be, he's not a Trevor Lawrence. So, I mean, he's going to need help, and I think a strong run game is going to help him out, and that's what they want to try to do, which is why they drafted another guy, because Le'Veon Bell's gone, Frank Gore's gone, LaMichael P. Ryan couldn't cut it as their rookie last year. So, I mean, Michael Carter, he has more talent than all these other options, so he's just gotta show it in camp and become the guy.
Yeah, and since you're reading my notes, you can read this one that says, if he can play better than Frank Gore, the job is his.
And the Jets did draft Elijah Vera Tucker in the first round, who is supposed to be one of the best guards, offensive guards, or interior linemen in the draft. They got Mekhi Becton last year, so that O-line might be pretty good, might be pretty serviceable. So compared to last year, so yeah, I like Michael Carter as a late round pick as well. He was going in mock drafts I was doing today, around round 10 as well. Usually snagged, but most people forget him. It was actually just one guy who was like, I gotta get Michael Carter. I got Michael Carter. And every time he did it, I was like, good pick, bud. Good pick. It's like the same guy in all these drafts.
It's hard to look at the Jets and think about winning.
Right.
I know, but it's fantasy. So
but there's an opportunity there.
Okay. Yep. Clear opportunity.
Anthony, do you want to count backwards from 10 before we get on to the next guy?
To cool down?
Cool down.
I'm cool.
Oh, we know you're cool. You're one of the coolest guys we know. All right, so we're going to go on to the next running back, which is Kenneth Gainwell, Kenny G, who's drafted round 5, 150th overall to the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, Kenneth Gainwell, I'll tell you a little story about Kenneth Gainwell. Came to show up to his first football practice in high school. Said, "Coach, I want to play defense." I said, "Well, what's your name, son?" And he said, "Kenny." "What's your last name?" Coach said. He said, Gainwell, you're going to play running back. Not a true story. But with a name like that, how can you not like Kenneth Gainwell as a running back? If he can gain well on the ground, gain well through the air, he's just going to crush it. He's listed, I've seen him listed at 5'8".
That's a big difference there.
And 5'11". I know.
I'm sorry. What are those measurements?
His height?
Yeah.
I've seen him.
Yeah, but what unit of measurement are you using?
It's
5'8" or 5'11".
no.
I've never heard that measurement before. You must be talking about 5 feet.
Oh,
5 feet.
Sorry. His
Come
height,
on, Dave.
His height.
5
11. Okay. Most places have him at 5'11", but his college, it was one of them. I think it was the Memphis roster had him at 5'8". I don't know. Maybe he grew after his freshman season. But anyway,
he does gain well.
He does gain well. So let's say he's 5'11".
He gained some height.
You know what? Let's meet in the middle. Say he's about 5'10", and he's 201. Ran a 4.4, which is pretty quick. When you see him on tape, he looks like a smaller back, and he's not going to run through people. So that's maybe one of his drawbacks, but he's solid all around. He might not be a true workhorse back, but capable elsewhere. He opted out last season. That's important. And I think players that opted out last season, unless you're Jamar Chase, it dropped you down your draft stock a little bit. So I think the round 5 in the NFL draft is a bit misleading. I think if he played last season and did well, it could have been round 3. He could have been right up there. So that's something to keep in mind. In 2019, the last year he played with Memphis, he gained 1,459 yards, an average of 6.3 on the ground, 13 tutties, and he caught 51 passes for 610 yards. College stats, take them for what they will, but the fact that he caught 51 passes, I think is good, and he can also block. So he has a pathway to be a pass-catching back and a third down back at least, and it could be important for PPR and half PPR. What do you guys think about his situation? Or let me ask you this. I don't think we can have a conversation about Kenneth Gainwell without talking about Miles Sanders. So Miles Sanders is the lead back in Philadelphia. He's the incumbent. What is your opinion of Miles Sanders? You excited about him? You think he's going to be the 3-down guy? How is he going to be used?
I've never been super excited about Miles Sanders. And I think Philadelphia's front line is partly to blame.
Yeah.
I mean, when Miles Sanders gets going, he gets going. But last year he had that mysterious lower body injury. So who knows what that could be. I don't think anyone else there is really much. I mean, Boston Scott, Jordan Howard, they're both guys who've had their opportunity to step in and take over.
Sorry, who?
Jordan Howard. So I think it's his opportunity to be the second running back there 100%, especially if he's a pass catching back. I think Miles Sanders is still going to be their guy, but I think more than ever, it'll be a committee. I think it'll be more of a 50-50 split than, the Miles Sanders show and then Kenneth Gainwell.
Okay. Anthony, you agree?
Yeah. I would have to agree with everything he said. I think Moose and I both weren't very high on Miles Sanders, as he mentioned before.
There was that one game where we were like, he's going to have a terrible game. And he did have a terrible game, except when he broke off for one 80-yard run.
That wasn't just so there was the Pittsburgh Steelers game where he had an 85-yard touchdown run against one of the best defenses in the league. And there was 2 other games where he broke off huge runs. So good on him that he had the capability of breaking off huge runs. But if you remove those 2 or 3 plays, he did not have a very good season last year, and the injuries. And, I had in one of our leagues that we played in, I had Miles Sanders. Everyone got injured. Kiss of death in my team. Saquon Barkley, George Kittle, Odell, him, David Montgomery. So I know firsthand that, the stats on Miles Sanders are a little misleading because of those plays. He was very frustrating last year. I think the fact that the Eagles, talk about needs when you go into a draft, the Eagles needed everything. They needed defense in all positions. They needed O-line. They needed receiver. But they still went out. Probably one of their least needs, you could have argued, was running back. But they went out and got and spent a 5th-round pick on Kenneth Gainwell. So that tells me they obviously were concerned about Miles Sanders' ability to handle the workload. You're right. He's still their number one guy, but Kenny G over here is going to see some time. And if it's catching passes, well,
Hey, don't confuse our listeners. He's not Kenny G. Okay.
Kenneth Gainwell. Actually, is there a Roman numeral? Go check if there's a Roman numeral, because that would just fit perfectly. Kenneth Gainwell the third. I think we would say it like that, not Roman numeral 3. Anyways, I think if Philadelphia's willing to spend a draft pick on him when they had so many needs, I think it bodes well for him. So I think there's opportunity there. Now, Philadelphia, as a whole, we don't know. They're going to be one of the worst teams in the league this year. So it is always tough to produce when you're one of the worst teams in the league. Hopefully, we saw James Robinson do incredibly well on the worst team in the league last year. So maybe there's an opportunity there, and maybe the Eagles will be playing from behind all the time and be tossing the ball out to Gainwell. But that is a concern. They do play in a horrible division in the NFC East, so they get to play the Cowboys, Washington, and the Giants twice each. That's great. And they play the NFC South, so Atlanta, Carolina, and the likes of them. They play Vegas, they play Denver, so their schedule looks pretty good, actually. So that could be a bonus. But yeah, I don't know what you guys think overall about Philadelphia. Are you concerned at all?
Yeah, I don't want it. I don't want a part of it.
Okay. So you don't want Kenneth Gainwell?
No.
Oh, okay. So if we could order the 3 rookies we talked about today, Trey Sermon, Michael Carter, and Kenneth Gainwell, how would you rank them for you personally for redraft?
Michael Carter, Trey Sermon, Kenneth Gainwell.
Okay. I think I'd have to agree. And Anthony, we know you might put Trey Sermon last.
Anthony might not draft anyone.
No, just not Sermon. I feel that Philly is going to be a tire fire, but I feel that they need to have as many weapons as they can to try and produce something. So like you mentioned, the Jacksonville Jaguars, they were awful last year.
Jaguars.
And Robinson, yes, he was the only one there because Armstead got injured, missed the season, and who else was there? Chris Thompson didn't really do anything. I think Gainwell could have an opportunity. I mean, Boston Scott, we know, is just a weapon, like a returns. He returns kickoffs or punts, one of the two. He
returns things,
pass catching back.
Yeah.
But I think Gainwell could provide a little bit more than Boston Scott, so I think he'll get his opportunity. And I think Trey Sermon will get his opportunity, but I think on a team that's always going to be playing from behind and they're going to try anything to try and get points, I think I'm going to go Gainwell with the slight bump as it is for now. We'll see how training camp goes. I could change my mind then.
Yes, pay attention to you got to pay attention to training camp with these things and hear the news, especially with these rookies. And rookie camps are going on right now, so never too early to pop open your phone and go searching for some articles there. Okay, we should probably move on. Let's move on to the next segment because we're running low on time.
Are we already at They Said It on Reddit?
They said it on Reddit.
Beautiful. I think the best part about it is the hand gesture.
That little.
That's how
you got to check this out. If you want to see what it
note.
looks like, yeah, it's like it's not even a note. It's like between 3 notes. But if you want to see what it looks like, go check us out on YouTube. Ballers, Beers, and Banter.
Subscribe to the page. Hit the bell so you get your notifications of when we upload videos. That help us out a lot. Leave us a thumbs up or a thumbs down, preferably a thumbs up, but leave a comment too. Let us know.
Very good. Very good. Okay. Oh, drop my pen there. Okay. So this comes from user Poorly Lit Kiwi 2.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
It's a lot.
Sorry, what was that, Anthony?
It's a lot. That's a long name. A lot going on in the name.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Anthony wouldn't draft him.
Who knows how many more poorly lit Kiwis there are? This is only 2 of how many?
461.
That's a lot of Kiwis. That's a lot of poorly lit Kiwis. Okay.
But do they mean kiwi the fruit or like someone from New Zealand? Do you think this is a New Zealand football fan?
I don't know.
Okay.
It's also
I
an
just want to know
animal.
which kind of kiwi.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I'm not even
From
sure
New
how
Zealand.
appropriate that term is, but
Is it not? We played
let's
rugby with people from New
drop
Zealand.
it.
So.
Let's just drop it.
Okay.
Anyways, whatever it is, it's poorly lit, and there's at least 2 of them. And the question is, what am I missing with David Montgomery? And they go on to say, I know it's early still, so ADPs are likely to move around quite a bit, but I'm trying to understand why David Montgomery is going so low right now in mocks. Monty was one of the hottest RBs in the league down the stretch last year. Over the last 6 games, the Bears gave him 116 carries, and he averaged better than 5 yards a carry. He received 77 carries in the last 3 games alone. On the season, he finished as the number 4 running back in PPR, gaining around 1,500 all-purpose yards and scoring 10 touchdowns. So why are guys like J.K. Dobbins, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Chris Carson regularly being drafted before Monty? I get that Cohen, that's Tariq Cohen, will be back, and they signed Darrell Williams.
Damian
Williams. But after last season, Dave Montgomery is definitely going to be a lead back again, and I don't see why he won't continue to be productive. I'm not advocating taking him in the first, but his current ADP of late third / early fourth just feels kind of disrespectful after last year.
Now, I like that we have this set it on Reddit because Dave in one of our leagues just traded away David Montgomery. I would like to hear what Dave thinks of his. I know that was Dynasty, but what do you think about his value?
So I think I traded him in our Dynasty league because his value is very high right now, coming off finishing 4th overall in PPR. That's a PPR league we play in. And I happen to have tremendous depth at running back, including Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, the aforementioned Raheem Mostert, Mike Davis, J.K. Dobbins. I got pretty good running backs. So,
can I just interrupt for a minute?
Yeah.
I just did a quick search. Kiwi is not considered offensive, so you're good.
I didn't think so because we were throwing that. We played with New Zealand guys in rugby.
People throw a lot of words around, but
that's true. That's never a good indicator. Fair point.
But looked it up, and you're all good.
Okay, thanks, Moose.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, shout out to all my Kiwis out there. Okay, so I was in a position where I had assets to trade, and I wanted to get back into the first round of our draft. So a little bit different, but where I see, I didn't want to let David Montgomery go. I think he's still very good. I don't think he's going to repeat as a top 5 running back. Maybe ever, but I think he's a solid RB2, and the reason I think that
head shake.
Moose, no?
Go ahead. Continue.
Yeah, I think he's a very solid RB2. So his numbers were inflated by the fact that he played the worst rush defenses in the league over the second half of the season, including Green Bay, Houston, Detroit, teams like this where you could just tear them apart. And yes, Tariq Cohen being out, he got he was getting maybe 4 or 5 catches a game consistently. So that'll come down. His numbers will come down, but he's still only going into his 3rd season as a running back on a very capable Chicago team that will probably want to rely on the run, whether it's Andy Dalton or Justin Fields in the backfield. And I still think he's very, very good. And what I liked about Dave Montgomery, don't forget he was coming off a gruesome groin injury that he suffered in camp, and that the first part of the season he was affected by that. So I was worried about him in the first half of the season. Then we started to see, whether it was Detroit Lions defense or him, a lot more explosiveness and actually breaking tackles towards the back half of the year. So I think he's fine. He's very capable. He's serviceable. We know he's going to be the starter. He'll lose a bit of volume, but I think he's going to be fine. But no, I'm not going to draft him as an RB1, as a top 12 guy.
Oh, and would you take J.K. Dobbins, Clyde Edwards-Helaire over him?
Yes, I would. Both those guys. I have Clyde Edwards-Helaire maybe too low. I have him just one spot above Dave Montgomery in the current rankings, but I'm the lowest of anyone I know on Clyde Edwards-Helaire right now. So, and I have J.K. Dobbins quite high right now. I think that Baltimore. I want a piece of that Baltimore rush game. Even though they drafted a bunch of wide receivers, I think J.K.'s going to be great. So yeah, I would take both of them ahead of Dave Montgomery.
And there's Carson in there too. Would you take Carson over David Montgomery?
No.
That's close. I like Seattle's. I want the Seattle running back over David Montgomery, but I'm just not confident Chris Carson will play more than 11, 12 games. So
I think I'm
That's a tough
going to agree with Moose here. I'll take Dobbins, Edwards-Helaire over Montgomery, and Montgomery over Carson.
Yeah, I just
Montgomery over Carson. Okay.
So like Dave Montgomery let's see. So he had two games over 11 points before week 11. And I think I'm looking at I'm looking at half PPR here.
Half point PPR he had before week 11, you said? He had 11.5.
Oh, yeah, guys, did you get updated by Sleeper? Sleeper shows you standard and PPR at the same time now.
Yeah, they did that before.
That's great.
They did that before.
Shout out Sleeper.
So you were saying over what, 10 points or 12 points?
11 points. So he had one game of 15, one game of 20, and then everything else is below 11 points.
No, he had 11.5 and 11.7.
Yes. So he had...
That's above 11.
Okay, relax, Anthony. 0.5. Okay, so...
But you said...
Yeah, but it's garbage. And then, he only really started getting, running back, decent numbers. Running back numbers playing the worst defenses. So going into next season, I wouldn't be banking on him to be my RB1 or RB2.
I think he'll be okay as an RB2. He's okay as an RB2.
But what sucks, he'll be good for standard. I think he'll lose a lot of the receiving, which is important for PPR or half point PPR. So we always talk about half point PPR. I don't think he'll be a high end running back 2, but I think he'll still be running back 2. He's the number 1 guy there. He's going into his 3rd year. I know we've seen issues with running backs coming out of Chicago as well, where we saw Jordan Howard have 2 seasons of over 1,000 yards and then become nothing after that. They got rid of him, and then he didn't really show anything after that.
Can we do a would you rather with the RB2s? Or could we just agree that Dave Montgomery is the bottom of the RB2 list?
Well, let's do a would you rather.
Yeah, we've definitely done some Dave Montgomery would you rathers, but I'll be happy to. We'll go based on the rankings I have here. So this is not by any means ECR. This is kind of my own thing. Let's go Dave Montgomery or Myles Gaskin.
Myles Gaskin.
David Montgomery.
I'd go Dave Montgomery there. Dave Montgomery or James Robinson.
James Robinson.
Oh, God.
Travis Etienne kind of scares me a little bit. I'd go Dave Montgomery there.
Yeah, I think I'd go David Montgomery too.
David Montgomery or Kareem Hunt.
Kareem Hunt's always the doozy.
Yeah. it's always that's like our
never
line.
Know.
Because he's like the best backup running back in the league that has number 1 running back numbers. So
he's so touchdown dependent though, guys. Trust me.
You know what?
I think I have to go Dave Montgomery on this one.
Yeah. Me too.
I think I will too.
My gut says Kareem Hunt, but I think I have to go with Dave Montgomery.
Okay. Yeah. David Montgomery or Najee Harris.
Najee Harris.
Yeah, me too. David Montgomery or Mike Davis, the presumed starting running back for the Atlanta Falcons.
Montgomery.
Yeah, Montgomery.
They've made the offensive line better over there too.
The fact that you have to think about is interesting because Mike Davis is going real late in mock drafts right now. So keep your head up for that one. All right. David Montgomery or Miles Sanders, who we talked about in the Kenneth Gainwell conversation.
David Montgomery.
Yeah.
Okay. David Montgomery or DeAndre Swift.
DeAndre Swift.
No, David Montgomery for me.
I got to go David Montgomery.
I mean, so of the players you named, so it seems like Dave and I are higher on him. But if you just go off of last year's stats of who's in RB2 category, the last one was J.D. McKissick. We'd all take Montgomery over him. Miles Sanders. You and I are low on Miles Sanders. Take him over. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I'll take Clyde Edwards-Helaire over him.
Yeah, we all will.
J.K. Dobbins, we would too. We said that before. Naeem Hines, David Montgomery, I'd pick. David Johnson.
Yeah, we're
David
taking
Montgomery.
David Montgomery.
DeAndre Swift, we just did. Carson, we said we take Montgomery. Rojo, we talked about him before. Probably, I'm taking
I would
Montgomery.
take David Montgomery just because I don't know.
You too, Moose?
So
yeah. I mean, it's like a middle running back 2 type guy, and we just said Mike Davis was 15th. So, I mean, Kenyon Drake's also at 14th, but I know he's behind somebody now. Yeah. But I mean, I think he'll be a middle. I think he still fits under the running back 2 category, but I'm not totally confident because, like I said, it's half point PPR we talk about, and you lose the passing yards to Tariq Cohen, you lose a lot of value.
Yeah. And so to answer well-lit Kiwi fully, yeah, he has dropped significantly if you consider poorly lit Kiwi. David Montgomery has dropped considerably if you think that he finished 4th last year. So many injuries last year to running back, to the big name running backs. We won't get into it. So that's where we have him valued, and we think that's fair. And I think it's pretty safe. You
got to look at the average too. His first season with Tariq Cohen there, he finished 25th, so just outside running back 2 category. Yeah. So I mean, meet somewhere in the middle, and I mean, if you're high on him, that's great. He's going to fall in drafts, I believe, because people are going to be high on the rookies. I think he might drop later on when like the buzz from camp comes. You might get lucky.
He's so far in mock drafts that I've seen. Again, I haven't done a million. He is coming after last year's rookies, so the second year guys like J.K. Dobbins, Antonio Gibson, Cam Akers, but then he's like a round 3.
Oh, okay.
David Montgomery.
Oh, that's still pretty good.
Yeah. Okay. That's where he's being drafted currently. So that answers that. Guys, I've been drinking this very tasty beer, and it's super cool. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see that I'm not holding it upside down. The artwork is purposely upside down. Everything's written upside down. So I don't want to spill my beer, but it's a double IPA. It's an 8.5%. Really cool, like devil logo, and it kind of matches the Brahma horns I'm wearing today. And it's an FML double IPA, a Stone FML, but the FML stands for Fear Move Lions.
It doesn't really have a good ring to it.
It's intense. It's intense, and it's from what brewery is this? You guys go, but I'll find it.
I am drinking a little something called a Heineken. It is brewed
Classic.
In Holland. It's imported.
It's
imported.
Oh, it's Heineken
Holland.
Imported. Oh.
A unique recipe combines premium malt with hops, water, and special A yeast. No preservatives. A premium malt lager for a premium taste.
We're so over time, and you're reading the Heineken label.
Wherever you are in the world. Thanks for interrupting.
Great. Yeah,
I would have been done sooner.
Yeah. This
it's a 5% alcohol.
Oh
it's HOP for Heineken Original Premium Malt Lager.
I'm very upset with you right now. Okay. My brewery is
established in 1873.
Stone Brewing, Stone Brewing out of Richmond, BC, which is where the Vancouver airport is. So I bet you can get this maybe even within the airport. They probably have a little.
Well, if you find yourself in Europe, close to
Anthony,
Holland,
what do you got? Anthony, what do you got?
I got an IPA Terrestre. For those of you who don't know, we are from Quebec, so a lot of our stuff is in French. And Terrestre, as you can see the little UFO, it's terrestrial, so like for extraterrestrial. It's
can you
from
tell
Mike.
Is it say UFO anywhere on the can? Can you?
No, it doesn't. But if it had a UFO, it would definitely stand for something like your guys's, explanation of your beers. But it's from Microbrasserie Le Boc Ale, and it's a 5.5% beer. I mean, I'm not gonna make us go even more over time.
Yeah,
because
we have no time limit.
No, well, it's the longest episode we've ever done. So, FYI. So
that's for your information.
Yeah, thanks. So I'm going to end it here. That was really great information for our listeners.
You can find out about Bock Ale at lebocale.com. It's a 473 milliliter can.
All great information. Thanks, guys, so much. All right. No words of wisdom will be spoken today. We'll see you on Thursday's episode. As always, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Ciao.